at the losing end of the rapport of force. So indeed, it's important to remember our history. And I think standing here in front of you as a female king, actually, of the Bakalutu people of Kasai in the Democratic Republic of Congo, I can stand to speak about our very important history. And I think this is absolutely wonderful, and I'm so enchanted to see the will and the drive of this mobilizing all of us here together, including Mrs. who's really mobilizing, the economic community and the agents of change in the business sector. However, I also feel it's important that we lay the correct ground upon which we have to, build this, this formidable, force, so we can move forward in recovery. As you know, I do not like to call this movement a developing movement, but rather a recovery movement. So for me, it's quite important to stress on the fact that before Africa became what it is today, Africa has had an immense story, and immense accomplishments. So I spoke about a few of them yesterday. I want to remind all of you that Africa was indeed a continent that was vibrant, a continent that was extremely proliferous, a continent that was at the forefront of innovation in so many domains. But one domain in particular is quite interesting for me to study, is the domain of governance. So nothing happens if there is no sound governance. And Africa was organized in several kingdoms, and while actually Europe was completely collapsed after the fall of the Roman Empire, Europe was in chaos for quite some time, and during that time, Africa was actually flourishing. And in history, now our own researchers and historians are referring to that period as the imperial period of Africa. So we had massive empire, and they were very, very well organized. We had international commerce, we had industries, we had also a governance system that allowed for each individual to contribute to the rise of those great nations. So there is many of you, all of you actually, who are Africans from the continent, know that you come from a long line of amazing people who came from very organized societies. So it's important that we go back, sometimes, and I think if we have Ghanaians here, they know the term Sankofa. Sankofa means go back in the past and fetch what was good. Because to dream about a development in a framework that is not our own is going to be quite tedious exercise. So there will be a development indeed, but is it fit to the circumstances? Is it fit to our culture? Is it fit to our needs? And these are things that will be answered if we do work towards reconstructing what exactly would an African identity mean today, without laying the ground and the foundation of a cultural revolution in Africa. Then it's going to be very difficult for us to just, do what I would call, solutions for micro solutions rather than a macro solution. So because we have to have a systemic approach to our quest, we have to ask the right questions. We really have to ask the right questions. And it doesn't matter if we don't have the answer right away. It's a process. So we will define and find the answers as we go. So oftentimes, I'm so happy every country will be coming here to present and say this is Congo Brazzaville, this is Congo Kinshasa, this is this and that. But wait a minute. Since when? Since when? Are you a Congo this and a Congo that and a this or that? Since a people that were not African sat together in a conference in Berlin in 1885 to define their interest in having you divided. Mm-hmm. And we stand on those divisions today and claim some kind of national pride. the question is, okay, fine, you know, we have all these countries and it's great, we have all our banners, our national hymns and all of that. But the question, the concern is, how is that serving us? In defining, how do we do a win-win cooperation and collaboration? Because to do a win-win, it implies that we have kind of like an equal force. And instead of clashing our equal forces, we prefer to engage in a kind and cordial collaboration, so you win, I win. But if I do not have equal force, if my country is 5 million people and I have to negotiate with a country where they have 1 billion people and nuclear weapons, how does that work? How does the rapport of, we can sit on the table and we better have a win-win? So far, Africa has not been able to have a win-win, and even to pretend claiming a win-win. It's nice that we say it, because it would be the most, equitable way of doing business. But the world out there is not looking at Africa to do equitable business. This is not the strategy that's been laid out since 1885. The divisions that we are living today are still a manifestation of these plans that were laid for us. And we have to speak the truth. How are those plans serving us today? So I cannot stand in front of you here as an African traditional leader and not encourage you to unite, not encourage you to do away with all these barriers. The interest of unity is to strengthen our capability by complementing each other with the competencies, as many of the speakers here spoke about today. And this initiative of Tropics is one of these initiatives to remind us that the only way forward is together. Cabo Verde, beautiful country, is a product of the capitalist venture and voracious appetite of Portugal. So, as I'm not here to put history on stand in front of a court, because it's not my purpose, because thank you for Portuguese, because here we are now with a wonderful country with people of great diversity and great, color, and that's fine. I am also a product of that. My father is a descendant of a genocide. Survivors of genocide. In the Congo, the Leopold II, King of Belgium, also owner of a personal property that was the independent state of Congo, carried on a genocide of 12 million Congolese. So I am a descendant of people who survived that genocide. All of you here are descendants of people who overcame many challenges. And we are standing here on a sacred ground where elders like Amilcar Cabral, fighters and Lumumba, all these people, laid the ground for us to understand that the only way out is to be together. So the togetherness is not a kumbaya togetherness where we love each other, we are so perfect and it's so easy. No. I know it's going to be very difficult. But before we get there, we have to decide that we have to do it. Yes. And having institutions that claim to say we will unite is not enough. Actions have to be done on the ground. And one of the primordial actions that we have to do is to recognize a common history, because if you're not a Pan-Africanist, guess what? You are already a Pan-Africanist by fact, because you went through the same story. Your challenges make you a Pan-Africanist. Everywhere I go, are the ones with the least opportunities. And that includes my own continent. I go to America, I go to Asia, to the Middle East, to Europe. The ones who have least access to opportunities in education is my people. The one who have least access to healthcare is my people. The one who have least access to education is my people. The one who have least access to justice is again my people. The ones who have access to least balanced diet is again my people. So if you're not a Pan-Africanist by choice, you are a Pan-Africanist by fact. So therefore, to get out of this, we owe to understand that strategically we need to unite beyond words. Understanding our history, understanding our common path will be essential. Retelling our history is going to be essential. Educating our children with a common goal is going to be essential. One of the tools I keep advocating is we have to have our own international language. Which country in Africa will start to impose one language? I don't care which one. I like Swahili because I think it's the easiest one, and the one that has the most easy access. To impose as a second language from the little children in school and say, starting from now, you will learn an African international language. Which country is it going to be? Is it going to be Cabo Verde? I would love to see that happen. Our children in the diaspora, I stand proud of Brazil, of Panama, because I'm a queen there, but I stand equally proud of every single African country out there, like Haiti, Jamaica, Barbados, the United States, because every country where they are African is an African country. So we have to understand that we have to join forces with them, because they do have skills, they do have experience, they do have an understanding of a system that has been crushing us for quite some time, and we need the contribution of everyone. And I don't want to leave outside of this work our fellow brothers and sisters for Western world or Asia. There are mighty and willing people in every single human community that understand that the stake of our survival on this planet will pass through Africa. Those who know, they know that Africa will be the paramount place where the definition of the future civilization of humanity will start. So we will engage the collaboration of everyone, but the collaboration of everyone has to come under the terms that we can define, only if we are united. So when we will come, when I stand 2 billion people in front of somebody that have 1 billion, and we negotiating the terms of the contract, the rapport of force will not be the same. I guarantee you that. So I encourage African people all over the world to really reconcile with who they are, to reconcile with their history, to build together a strong identity for the interests of this continent and beyond. Thank you. Thank you very much, Merci beaucoup.